The dollar is heading for its best week against the yen in 3 months on Friday after Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell and a group of U.S. central bank officials dashed market expectations that interest rates have peaked. As for cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Ether settled near their highest levels in several months with renewed speculation about the imminent approval of a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund, breathing new life into digital assets. A large number of Federal Reserve policymakers, including Powell, said on Thursday that they were still not sure that interest rates were high enough to end the battle against inflation, comments that were seen by markets as hawkish and sent the U.S. currency higher. The dollar settled near one-year high of 151.355 yen on Friday and touched its highest levels in a week against the Australian and New Zealand dollars. Powell's speech was very hawkish and that really affected sentiment, said Tina Thing, market analyst at CMC Markets. The U.S. central bank officials' statements came after a week of keeping interest rates unchanged and enhancing expectations that they had reached their peak, causing the dollar and Treasury yields to decline in the aftermath. However, the dollar regained its footing this week and is on track to record weekly gains of about 1.3% against the yen, its best performance since August, while the Australian and New Zealand dollars are heading towards incurring weekly losses of 2.3% and 1.75%, respectively, against the dollar, their largest decline in months. In the latest trading, the Australian dollar reached 0.63615 against the U.S. currency, after falling to its lowest level in a week at $0.6352 earlier in the session, while the New Zealander recorded $0.5895 in the latest trading, after also reaching its lowest level in a week at $0.5886 earlier in the session. As for the euro, it stabilized at $1.06665, while the British pound rose 0.05% to $1.2227. Both are on track to incur weekly losses of about 0.6% and 1.2%, respectively. Meanwhile, Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency, stabilized near its highest levels in 18 months and was purchased in the latest transactions for $36,653 after peaking at $37,978 in the last session, the highest level since May 2022. As for Ether, the second largest cryptocurrency, it jumped to its highest levels since April to $2,136.50. Digital asset prices rose amid speculation about the imminent approval of a BlackRock Bitcoin exchange-traded fund. The Future Iraq Foundation for Economic Studies and Consultations, on Friday, attributed the problem of increasing demand for the dollar in the markets to the large consumption of imported goods, as its volume during the current year, which is about to end, reached $55 billion. The head of the foundation, Menher al-Obadi, said in a report published today, the basis of the problem of demand for the dollar is the consumption of imported goods and the rise in their bill annually until our imports for the year 2023 reached as follows: UAE $19 billion, China $13 billion, Turkey $10 billion, Iran $9 billion, India $4 billion. He added, what we need is a clear strategy that works, firstly, to limit the annual growth of imports, and then work to reduce them by adopting an agricultural, industrial, and extractive policy that reduces our need for raw materials, stressing the necessity of building a strategy for industrial transformation and supporting manufacturing industries. Al-Obadi continued to say, any other solution will make us always follow a policy of reaction to disasters that occur as a result of the absence of a clear strategy and anticipation of the future. The Iraqi Ministry of Oil considered, on Friday, that the increase in the country's crude exports is a natural issue and does not affect the OPEC Plus agreement in determining production levels, reiterating its commitment and support for this agreement. The ministry issued a statement in which it referred to some press reports that had been circulated recently regarding an increase in oil exports to Iraq. The ministry explained in its statement, the increase in exports to some producing countries, including Iraq, is a natural issue, and does not affect the production levels agreed upon by the OPEC Plus group, and these increases in export levels occur sometimes due to a decrease in domestic consumption from one quarter to another. Natural conditions are one of the factors influencing the increase or decrease in internal consumption rates, she added. The Ministry of Oil stressed the commitment of OPEC member states and allied non-OPEC countries, including Iraq, to maintaining the stability of global oil markets, in order to achieve the interests of producers, consumers and investors away from the temporary gains sought by some speculators. The ministry's statement noted that OPEC Plus will not hesitate to take decisions that ensure stability and balance in global markets, as expectations indicate an increase in demand quantities during this year and next, and in line with the optimism of global economic growth after the issuance of recent International Monetary Fund statements, in which he revised his expectations about the size of the expected economic growth in China from 5% to 5.4% as a result of the significant recovery after the corona pandemic.